From maid's daughter to secretly pregnant with the billionaire's baby. What happens when his fiancée finds out? Full story below. I grew up in the shadows of the Alfreds mansion, where the chandeliers cost more than my mother's yearly salary, and the marble floors shone so bright they hurt your eyes. My name is Katie Wilson, and for as long as I can remember, I knew my place, on the wrong side of the service entrance. But there was one person who never saw me as just the help. Paul Alfreds. We met when we were 6 years old. He'd sneaked into the kitchen, drawn by the smell of fresh-baked cookies, and found me hiding under the table with a stolen book. Instead of tattling, he'd crawled under there with me, crumbs in his brown hair as we shared stories about pirates and princesses. That was the beginning of our secret friendship. While his parents hosted galas upstairs, Paul would slip away to the gardens where I waited. We built forts in the hedges, raced toy boats in the fountain, and promised each other we'd run away to Paris someday. "You'll be an artist," 12-year-old Paul declared as we lay on the grass staring at the stars. "And I'll buy all your paintings so you're famous." I should have known even then how impossible our dreams were. The Alfreds' ballroom glittered like a snow globe of wealth and privilege. Crystal glasses clinked, diamonds sparkled, and at the center of it all stood Paul. Taller now, his boyish grin replaced by the polished smile of a billionaire heir. And me? I was still on the wrong side of the room adjusting the thermostat because Mrs. Alfreds thought 72 degrees was unbearable. "Katie." Victoria Smith's voice cut through the hum of conversation like a knife. Paul's fiancée lounged on a chaise, her designer dress pooling around her like liquid gold. "This champagne is room temperature. Are you trying to ruin my evening?" I clenched my jaw. "I'll fetch a fresh bottle, Miss Smith." As I turned, I collided with a solid chest. "Paul." His hand steadied me, lingering a second too long. Up close, I could see the tension in his jaw, the shadows under his eyes. "You okay?" he murmured, so low only I could hear. Before I could answer, Victoria called, "Paul, darling, your project is monopolizing you again." He dropped his hands like I'd burned him. That was our life now. Stolen moments in hallways, glances across crowded rooms, him trapped in a gilded cage, me remembering the boy who'd promised me Paris. The engagement party was in full swing when the storm hit. Rain lashed against the windows as waiters rushed to cover the terrace furniture. I was clearing plates when a familiar hand caught my wrist. "Come with me." Paul's voice was rough, his breath warm with whiskey. He pulled me into his father's study, the same room where we'd once hidden from nannies. Now, his palms pressed against the doorframe, caging me in. "I can't do this," he whispered. "Do what?" "Marry her." His eyes searched mine, desperate. "Every time I look at you, A clap of thunder drowned out his words. Or maybe it was the blood roaring in my ears. What happened next was a blur. His lips on mine, my fingers in his hair. The way we stumbled toward the couch, knocking over a lamp neither of us cared about. Afterward, as we lay tangled in each other, reality came crashing back. "Paul," I started. He pressed his forehead to mine. "I'll fix this. Just give me time." But time was the one thing we didn't have. Because 6 weeks later, staring at 2 pink lines in a drugstore bathroom, I realized I was carrying the Alfreds' heir, and his father was marrying someone else. The morning sickness hit me like a freight train at 5:17 a.m. I barely made it to the staff bathroom before collapsing to my knees, my body convulsing as last night's dinner made a violent reappearance. The cold tile bit into my palms as I gasped for air, sweat dripping down my temples. 3 weeks of this. 3 weeks of pretending it was just the flu. But the 5 positive tests hidden beneath my mattress told a different story. I splashed icy water on my face, staring at my reflection in the cracked mirror. Dark circles, pale lips, the uniform that suddenly felt too tight around my waist. "You're carrying Paul Alfred's baby." The thought sent another wave of nausea through me, not from morning sickness, but from sheer terror. Victoria's stiletto tapped an impatient rhythm against the marble floor. "You're sweating," she sneered, wrinkling her nose as I refilled her champagne flute. Honestly, don't they teach you people basic hygiene? The glass trembled in my hand. Between the nausea and the dizzy spells, just standing upright was a battle. Paul's head snapped up from his paperwork across the room. His eyes, those damn eyes that saw too much, narrowed as they tracked the way my free hand braced against the table. Katie, he said abruptly, standing, I need those files from the study. Victoria's manicured hand clamped around his wrist. The staff can handle it. Her gaze flicked to me, sharp as broken glass. Unless there's some other reason you need this particular maid? The grandfather clock ticked loudly in the silence. Paul's jaw flexed. I'll get them myself. The moon painted silver stripes across my bedsheets when a soft knock came at my door. I knew who it was before I opened it. Paul stood there in rumpled pajamas, his hair sticking up like he'd been running his hands through it for hours. You're sick, he accused, stepping inside without invitation. I'm fine. Bullshit. His warm palm pressed against my forehead. You're burning up. And don't think I haven't noticed you avoiding me for weeks. I batted his hand away. Maybe I just don't want to watch you play house with Victoria. His expression darkened. You know I don't have a choice. The merger. Always the merger, my voice cracked. Tell me, Paul, does she know you whisper my name when you're inside her? The words hung between us, ugly and raw. Paul staggered back like I'd struck him. Then, with a ragged breath, he dropped to his knees before me, his hands cradling my hips. I haven't touched her since that night, he whispered. I can't. My heart hammered against my ribs. This was dangerous. He was engaged, and I was. His hands stilled. Slowly, his gaze dropped to my stomach. Too late, I realized. My loose sleep shirt had ridden up, revealing the faintest curve beneath my navel. Paul's breath hitched. Katie? The Alfreds' private doctor confirmed it the next morning. 8 weeks. Healthy. Visible on the ultrasound. Paul stared at the grainy image with something like awe. That's our baby. I yanked my hospital gown tighter around me. It doesn't change anything. Like hell it doesn't. He surged to his feet, pacing the exam room. I'll call off the engagement today. And lose your inheritance? Your seat on the board? I shook my head. You'd grow to resent me. He gripped my shoulders. Let me worry about my family. But as we stepped out of the clinic, cameras flashed. Someone had tipped off the press. By noon, the headlines screamed. The Alfreds' mansion was in chaos when we returned. Victoria's scream echoed through the foyer as she hurled a vase at Paul's head. You animal! Sleeping with the help! Mrs. Alfreds collapsed onto a divan, clutching her pearls. The scandal, the shame. Only Mr. Alfreds remained eerily calm. Terminate it, he said, ice dripping from every word. We'll pay for everything. Discreetly. Paul moved in front of me like a shield. Over my dead body. His father's smile was frigid. Then you're dead to this family. No trust fund, no shares, nothing. Victoria smirked, adjusting her engagement ring. Your choice, darling. A future with her... She jerked her chin at me. Or a future with power. The grandfather clock chimed ominously. Paul didn't hesitate. He took my hand, lacing our fingers together. Katie, he said firmly. Our baby. That's my future. And just like that, the doors of the Alfreds dynasty slammed shut behind us. The penthouse door clicked shut behind us, sealing us in our new reality. Paul's arm remained locked around my waist as we stood in the echoing emptiness of what would now be our home. The silence was deafening. No staff, no chauffeurs, no Alfred's money, just us, and the baby growing inside me. Paul spent hours on the phone that evening, his voice growing progressively more strained. No, Charles, I don't care if the board votes tomorrow. A pause. Then let them. He slammed the phone down hard enough to make me jump. I curled tighter into the corner of the sofa, my arms wrapped protectively around my stomach. This wasn't how I'd imagined my first pregnancy, hiding in a luxury penthouse while the man I loved lost everything because of me. Paul sank to his knees before me, his hands framing my face. Look at me. His thumbs brushed away tears I hadn't realized were falling. I'd choose you 1,000 times over. But your family made their choice. His lips pressed against my forehead. We don't need them. The way he said it almost made me believe him. By morning, the media circus had descended. Maid'S. Trended worldwide. Paparazzi camped outside our building. News channels ran side-by-side photos. Paul in his tuxedo at last year's charity gala, and me in my maid's uniform serving champagne. The comment section was a war zone. Gold-digging whore. Paul Alfreds always did have trash taste. That baby's getting cut out of the will before it's born. I threw my phone across the room. Paul caught it mid-air. Don't read that garbage. Easy for you to say, I snapped. You're not the one they're calling a... My rant died as the doorbell rang. Paul peered through the peephole and stiffened. You've got to be kidding me. He yanked the door open to reveal an elderly woman in a Chanel suit, leaning on an ornate cane. Eleanor Alfreds, Paul's grandmother and the family matriarch, stood regally in our doorway, her sharp eyes missing nothing. Took you long enough to answer, she sniffed, brushing past us into the penthouse. My mouth went dry. This was the woman who'd reportedly made CEOs cry with a single glance. She surveyed our temporary home with disdain before zeroing in on my stomach. So, it's true. Paul stepped between us. Grandmother, if you're here to... To what? Threaten you? Plead with you? Her laugh was dry as autumn leaves. Please. I'm here to meet the girl who finally made an Alfreds grow a spine. I blinked. Excuse me? Eleanor tapped her cane. Sit, both of you. We have much to discuss.